Hello everyone! Today I will continue with my previous video and I want to show you how to draw a realistic donut illustration using the new features in Adobe Fresco. Just like this, I have layers each for the bun, chocolate, as well as the toppings, and I want to show you how to create them today. A lot of new features have been added to Adobe Fresco since last month in May, and I explained about 7 new features in my previous video. So for those who haven't watched it yet, please watch that one first and come back here to watch this video on donut illustration, as it will make things a lot easier to understand. So please go ahead and watch that video if you can. I'll put the link in the description down below. This time I'll use those new features to draw illustration. I'll mainly focus on the use of this mixer brush, a brush where colors sort of get mixed like this, and it comes in really handy. So I'll use this brush a lot as I draw. It'd be great if you could draw with me and try using some new features as well. Okay, let's get started. Once you open Adobe Fresco, create a new canvas. Tap here where it says Create New at the bottom left to create a new canvas. The canvas size can be anything, but this time select current screen size. As you select it, the size of your iPad screen should be displayed on the canvas. I mentioned in my previous video too, but I always set a dark mode when using Adobe Fresco, so set a dark mode from the control setter, which turns the surrounding area black in color, making it easier to see the canvas like this. So I highly recommend this one. Create a new layer from the plus button on the right. I'll be drawing the circular shape of a donut right here, and I'll first place a circular shape using the shape tool, which is one of the new features. Using this, you can create a nice oval shape, so position it like this. It may be better to set it slightly towards the upper left. We'll be adding some drop shadows at the bottom right later, and that's why I suggest setting it slightly towards left. Grab any color from the color picker, and as you tap on Fill at the bottom, it gets color in solid color. It's color in gray, so it might not be as clear, but it can be any color, so just fill in right here. With this oval shape as a base, we'll outline the shape of a donut from here, and we'll use a mixer brush. Click on the brush button at the top in the tool panel, and here you can find mixer brushes. There's so many different kinds of mixer brushes, but this time we'll use this basic one called mixer brush, so select it. Here you can find these star marks besides each brush, and if you tap them, you can save them in your brush favorites, so please do that if you like as well. Grab a color from the color picker. We need a color for the bun, so grab some light yellow or light orange. Now from the plus button on the right, create a new layer on top of this. This is where we'll be drawing the dough. First, outline the edge of the oval shape from area like this. But when doing this, please try not to trace a perfect shape. The shape of a donut usually looks slightly uneven, so you could trace it to look a bit irregular in shape. So trace the edge running over the gray oval shape a bit. And once you're done, tap on Fill option so it gets filled with the color. Once you fill in, you'll find some gap here and there, so make sure to fill them. We're done with the base color, and we won't need this gray oval shape we drew in the beginning anymore, so we'll erase it. Touch here, and it will say delete a layer, so delete the gray oval shape from here. Next, we'll work on the oval shape in the center of the donut. We'll just need to use eraser and erase, and when erasing with the eraser, there's a button that says Touch Shortcuts at the bottom left, so erase while holding this, or double tap so that the center gets color in blue like this. And as you trace like this, the brush you're using now switches to eraser. We are using a mixer brush right now, but it switches to a mixer brush eraser. So like this, you could hollow out the middle part. Next we have our base now, and we want to give it a look three-dimensional, so we'll add highlights and shadows. When doing so, we want to color without running off the base, so I'll teach you how you can do that. Tap this layer, and there's a button that says lock the opacity, the third from the bottom right here, so tap it. Now it's set in a way that the color doesn't run off. So if you grab a different color from the color picker and trace over here, you get to fill in the color like this without running off the base edges. So make sure to set the option Lock Transparency turn on. Now let's work on both shadows and highlights. And for the brush, we'll use a mixer brush, the same one as earlier. Grab a darker color and color over the area which will be shadows. To be specific, this donut's got a dome shape, so the surrounding area gets darker. And the circle in the middle too should be darker in color, so color them in a darker color. You see as you color, but using this mixer brush helps blend in colors nicely when you color on top of the other. Can you tell these are kind of blurring? I'm kind of overdoing this on purpose right here for you to see, but as you hold and color with a thick brush, it gets blurred a lot. You'd normally have to use a blur tool to do that over, but this mixer brush helps blend in the color of the brush you use and the base color really well. This comes in really handy. When you draw a realistic illustration like this, you want to make sure that the border between two colors isn't too obvious. So I suggest using this mixer brush to blend colors. For this illustration, I want to make it look as if lights are coming in from the left side, so I want to color in a way while expressing some lights at the same time. Grab an even darker color and start in some darker color to the bottom right here, which should be the darkest in color. This part, the upper left part of the circle in the middle of the donut, should be dark in color too, so color here in a dark color as well. Now it should look as if lights are coming in from left. But let's further work on the area where this donut is touching the surface, the edge right here, by coloring in a dark color so that it looks more realistic. Once you've done this, the donut is complete, but I want to make it look kind of partially eaten. To make it look like I had a bite of it, I'll try to take a part of this donut off here at the top right. To do so, erase using eraser. You could use eraser tool, but as you draw while tapping this touch shortcut in a circular shape at the bottom left, the brush you're using now switches to eraser as I mentioned earlier. And you can do this way too, so please do this in whichever way you prefer to have a part up here at the upper right. Once you manage to erase with the eraser, we want to work on the part that's behind the spread. To do so, create a new layer. Create a new layer from the plus button and bring the layer over here under the bagel as a base layer. So create a layer here in the middle right here. So just like this, try your best to color here so that it kind of adds depth to the donut. This part can be a bit tricky, but if you image search donuts on the internet, you can find a bunch of donuts like this. So please refer to those images to see what the missing part looks like, or what the surface is like as you work on yours. Okay, once you've done these, now let's work on the chocolate part. Create a new layer from the plus button here at the very top. We will have some chocolate on this layer, so grab some chocolate color. So go around the red area and set it darker so that it becomes chocolate-like color. Once you grab color, start drawing over here. I find it the best to start working on the outside and then inside later. So think about where the chocolate is covered, or you could image search for something similar and refer to it too. I personally wanted to leave some brush on I drew earlier, so I didn't put too much chocolate on it, but as I drew it, I realized I should have added more chocolate. So a tip here is to add extra chocolate. You could even hide the bread almost, I think. Once you've done these, do the same thing as before. We'll add some shadows and highlights, so lock transparency. To do so, tap the layer and select lock transparency, the third one from the bottom. This way it won't run off even if you color over here. So now grab a pinkish white color, and the brush is the same, the mixer brush. So just like this, color over here while blending color as well. As I said before, the lights are coming in from the left. So color in white color over the area where the lights are reflected on this donut. Next is shadows. For shadows, grab a blackish brown color, and the bottom right should be darker in color as I mentioned before. With the lights coming in from the upper left, the bottom right part should be the darkest color. So here should be dark in color, and the upper left part of this donut should be dark too, so make sure to work on these parts. There's some parts that got dark color too, so just work on them as you refer to some images. You can't really see here, but I also look at and refer to the image on my iPhone as I work on this, so when you draw any realistic illustration like this, don't forget to add shadows and highlights while referring to a sample image. Alright, just like this, the chocolate part is complete. Using a mixer brush, you get to put some color over here while creating some beautiful gradation, so I really recommend this. Just by being able to make use of this, you really get to try and do many things, I think. Now I'm done with the bagel as well as the chocolate pot, and I want to add some decorations or some sprinkles on top of it, so that's what I will be doing from here. Create a new layer at the very top from the plus button. This is where you add some sprinkles but use a different brush this time. In the brush box called Basic, there is a hard round brush. It's literally just a hard brush. Let's just start working on top by adding some sprinkles here and there. Try not to have them face in the same direction and instead draw them facing different directions. and add some small dots here and there. Just try to be a bit creative here and don't have the same shape all over the place so it will look more realistic. So please try and draw like this. I find it better to have a gap with some parts with sprinkles and the rest without them like this. I've never really seen any donut that's got sprinkles evenly, so it would be great if you could have a bit of analog or man-made like expressions like this. These are all pink in color right now, but I want to have some colorful sprinkles, so I'll switch colors. It's the same thing as we did before when changing a color. We will have to lock transparency to do so, so tap this layer and set this lock transparency turn on right here. Grab yellow from the color picker and trace over it. Just like this, because we turn on the lock transparency option earlier, it's set in a way that they won't run off the edges. So the color of only the area that's traced changes. So in the same way, you could then have some blue or light green color too. But here we want to try using a new feature. I want to introduce you to this thing called the MultiColor Hydraulic tool, and I'll briefly talk about how to use it. It can be anywhere on the screen, but have some colors that you want to apply to the sprinkles in small circles. So in my case, I have orange, light green, and pink. Now we'll grab some colors using the eyedropper tool. The eyedropper tool can be found at the bottom left, but to tap this, you should see a multicolor button newly added to the bottom here. And while having this selected and place it over here with the color picker over them like this, it automatically detects the color of the targeted area and create a mixer brush. For the brush, I'll use the same hard round brush and color over here. This way, can you tell? Now this donut's got some rainbow colors here. I'm just moving my brush randomly, but you can easily create some colorful or mixed colors right here. But these color schemes are randomly created and you can't really set yours. But if you don't like one, then you could just color over again and have your favorite color scheme. It looks like this as I zoom in. You can, of course, have each sprinkle in a different color, but you could have some rainbow colors overall like this. So this is a way I recommend for those who want to create an illustration like this. You can tell when you look at it at a glance, looking very natural. So this should be fine, I think. Last, adding some drop shadows to these sprinkles will give it a look more dimensional and realistic. So now I'm coloring here what will be the shadow of these sprinkles with this dark brown color. Okay, now I'm done with the donut, the chocolate pot, as well as the sprinkles. At very last though, let's work on these drop shadows or the background right here. Add a new layer to the very bottom. This is where we'll be adding shadows in black, but the brush we'll use at last is called a soft round brush in a basic box. It's the one at the very top. Select this and control the brush thickness and brush lightness at the bottom left right here. So we'll work on the shadow of the background. But as I mentioned many times, the lights are coming in from the upper left. So we have some drop shadows towards the bottom right around here. Try not to put too much pen pressure here and lightly work on it slowly like this. Alright, just like this, it's complete. What do you think? It looks way more realistic with these drop shadows added, so don't forget to add them. Let's look at the layers we have. From the top we have layers for the sprinkles, the chocolate, the bun, and then drop shadows under that. I find it easier to understand this by seeing it as a sort of cooking by adding toppings to your dish. But anyway, please give it a try if you can. For today's design data, I'll post the original data of this in iPadmate, which is an online community that I run. Once you download Adobe Fresco, which is a Photoshop data, you get to see what these layers are like. So for those who are members of my online community, please check them out. You can find and download all the data from the past year too, so if you're interested, please refer to them from the link to iPadmate in the description down below. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. Please let me know if you have any ideas or requests on things you want me to draw or do a tutorial on from the comments section down below. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye!